Declan Rice has been the signing of the season, a player that has definitely taken Arsenal, a club already one of the elites, to the very best. And not only has done what he did at West Ham, he has continued and pushed on even further to make him and the team better. But what do the stats say and how has he been this good? When Arsenal spent £100 million on Declan Rice, a lot of people are definitely much more familiar with this player and this signing than people like Caicedo or Enzo Fernandez, who the year before went for over 100 mil to Chelsea. Declan Rice definitely felt like he was worth a little bit more like that sort of value, but still for a midfielder, a lot of people had their doubts. Now, certainly them doubts have been squashed with the fact that Declan Rice has played over 4,000 minutes in the season for Arsenal, playing up to 49 games, and always being ever present in the side when needed. Now, Arsenal primarily signed Declan Rice to play as the sixth, the defensive midfielder, to do huge amounts of tackles and interceptions per game and be a sweeper in front of the defence, protecting them and making it a lot more solid. Now, considering Arsenal are not a team that are going to have to do huge amounts of tackles, of course his tackles and interceptions are going to be down on prior years at West Ham. You expect this to happen, it's a team that isn't going to have to do as much. However, some of his other progressive stats in the defensive structure have been much better, such as dribbles, percentage tackled when people are running at him, and interceptions and clearances, which are still at a very good level. But the reason why this has not been as high as well is because you could argue Declan Rice has actually played in I'd say around 50, maybe even 60% of the season compared to that defensive midfield role. This is because to injuries to Partey and Timber, Arsenal have been a little bit limited in the tactics that they can do in midfield. And for a few months they were trying Havertz in that role, but with Havertz, when he plays in midfield, being instructed to join the front two and try and get into the box for duels and headers, it didn't really give Arsenal that pressure in midfield constantly and didn't give them many options just outside the box. This made Arsenal try and bring in someone like Jorginho to the team to give a bit more structure and stability and help people like Odegaard actually get the ball in key areas. We needed Declan Rice to get up the pitch on the left side or even just in the pitch generally, because he's a brilliant ball carrier and can run with it past players quite easily. This was tried and tested in games such as the Man City one at the Emirates, and it did work to decent effect. We won that game and we used it in other games as well to mixed results, especially at the start. This was when people like Jesus were still getting up front and people like Havertz were being dropped. But come down to 2024, Arsenal have used this system majority of their games, with Declan Rice being influential, running with the ball down the left side and giving Arsenal more balance. And with the inclusion of Thomas Partey in the last 3 to 4 games, you have really seen the best part of Arsenal's midfield. Partey and Rice work really well together and there's a lot more pressure in that team, with obviously Odegaard doing the most creative work. And considering Rice had never even really played in the 8 role before, and it is definitely a different burden than playing in the 6, the fact that he is taken to that role so easily just shows how good of a player he is. He can adapt so easily and seamlessly to make the team better overall. And when Arsenal play big games now, you expect them to play that double pivot, and even in smaller games right now they are playing it because it's the most important control that they can get. Having Rice on the ball as much as possible definitely makes the team better, and the output that he is getting as well in this position have definitely caught up to the position he has played. Against Bournemouth, the ability of him to be able to run and make space and recognise when he needs to run into the box and get the ball is so brilliant. And that goal and assist that he got in the second half when Arsenal needed it the most was majority down to him being initiative and running into the box. Something that for a player that is very defensive his whole career is quite fascinating that he can just learn that straight away. And in the 17 games this season he has played in centre mid, he has scored 4 goals and got 6 assists. So that output is definitely good enough and he is really contributing to goals which we needed. And this shows the next adaptation that he's had since he joined the team is the fact his output is definitely very impressive. In 245 games at West Ham, he only got 15 goals and 13 assists. Now, it weren't really necessarily the thing that he was supposed to do, and he didn't really show much attacking initiative in the first few years of his career. But last year for West Ham, you saw a little bit more of it, and this year at Arsenal, with better players, you have seen it completely. Already at Arsenal, he has 7 goals and 10 assists, almost getting to the assist tally at West Ham, and only half of his goals in 200 less games. Now, while he's always got a very important goal in him and can score a great long shot like he did against West Ham and Chelsea, and can come up with clutch goals such against Luton away and Manchester United in the last minute. The assists are definitely down to the awareness of Nicolas Jova, the tactical set-piece manager for Arsenal. He has realised and identified that Declan Rice's whipped cross is probably one of the best in the team. So in 2024, Arsenal have been putting Declan Rice on corners and free kicks to great effect. This season in the Premier League, before he was put onto corners in 2024, he only had 1 assist and 3 goals. But since that adaptation has been made, he has scored 4 goals and got 8 assists incredibly. And in his last 3 games, he's also got 3 assists as well. So he is on brilliant form right now. And these stats, obviously the set pieces do help, but they've all helped in his contribution in centre mid get his attacking stats to a very high level. His goals and assists and his goals plus assists are a great amount for someone playing in his position, and the fact he's been a defender before. And the key factor of what Declan Rice is really good at has not changed. His progressive carries are at 2.2 per game. He is really easily picking up the ball and running past players to get us in good positions, and his progressive passes at nearly 8 per game, which is an incredible amount. Him being able to put passes into people like Odegaard in space, into tight areas, is giving us a lot more possibilities. And when you've got as good as passing as Declan Rice do, making an incredible amount of pass completion from medium range, which is actually better than the short range, and even from long range being at a good level, around 90 passes per game, is an incredible amount for an incredible player. And it has allowed Arsenal to have more progression in midfield, but more importantly, more influence. He has so many touches and passes per game that it's not all getting burdened onto other players, and he can really take the responsibility. Given his age and the fact that his profile, he has done an amazing job at not only being as good as everyone wanted him to be, but even better, and being able to adapt to everything that's been asked of him. And quite frankly, I think as a first year season, been probably the best signing Arsenal have made probably since Alexis Sanchez, who had an incredible first season, or even maybe Santi Cazorla. And I know the money was spent on, but the track record of £100 million signings has never been good in football. They all seem to flop and it doesn't really work out. So the fact that we were able to get this guy, it definitely does act like £100 million signing. He makes our team £100 million better at least, is incredibly important. And we still might not win the league this year, but that doesn't mean Declan Rice hasn't been one of the best players of the year, because he has done everything that has been asked of him. And not only that, it seems like he completely gets with the family vibe at the club and really understands what it means to actually play for the club as well. You can see his passion in games which really matter, and you can see how much he really loves the fans and loves being at the club, which is such an important thing. Getting part of the community, getting a part of what actually makes Arsenal great is really important for the players. Now, midfielders don't really get enough credit, I feel like, when they do have a great season, because a lot of people base it on goals and assists. But with Declan Rice, I think he has kind of changed that metric. People are realising how good you can be where you play in different positions, and that someone can compete with Rodri. Rodri is an amazing defensive midfielder and is incredible, but could he do the progressive running that Rice does in an 8? I'm not sure about it. Doesn't necessarily mean Rice is a better player, but means he is definitely a lot closer to Rodri than people thought he would be. Thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to give some credit to Declan Rice because I think he's had an incredible season, and I'm very proud of the fact that we signed a player of his caliber. Let me know what you think of him in the comments, and let me know for you who is your player of the season in the Premier League. Thank you guys for watching. Watch my video yesterday where I talked about Tomiyasu, and if not, I'll see you in the next one.